And I've got a question. I'm really curious, going from, you know, able-bodied men in ice hockey, and then working with the men in sledge hockey, and the mindset of the men and what they've had to been through and overcome to do what they do at the level that they do it. And how did you change, adapt? What was the thing that made the biggest impression on you and caused you to want to commit to the program?
Well, I think you said it right there. Just like it's it really makes you pause when you see what these guys have to do to arrive to the arena. Some of them are in wheelchairs, to get out of their chairs, to get dressed, to warm up, to get back, get their hockey stuff on, go in a chair again. Some of them are double amps. They have to move around differently, etc. Then to get on the ice and go out to play the way they do. And I tell you what, these guys, they leave nothing on the table. They go at it hard. We go at it hard against each other. And when we play the Americans and the Russians, there's nowhere to hide out there. And I'm just so impressed with their courage to do that every day, because I really thought, as an able-bodied person, I have it so much easier every day. And, you know, it stopped me complaining about snow, stopped me complaining about having to take stairs. It made me just adjust my thinking about life in general. And just these guys, just to go and get out of their stuff, out of their chair, into the stuff, back on the ice, into the chair, back in, change, cool down, go for a shower. It's just such a commitment on their part. And it's an amazing to see them do that daily. And then the skill they perform on the ice is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we've got guys, we've got 6 or 8 of the best players in the world, and the Americans have another 6. And these guys do amazing things on the ice. Their skill sets are, and like I said, you know, in sledge hockey, they're doing everything with their arms, right? So they got to pick, skate, they got to turn their blades over as some Marines coming to take their head off, as the puck's flying by them at, like Billy can shoot the puck. I think last time we had a radar gun in him, he was about 120 clicks. He's shooting the puck at 120 clicks. And this is in a stationary position, so it's probably even harder in a real game situation because it's not so staged. But it's just amazing skills that they show and display, and it's a tough physical sport. I played rugby, I played football, I coached them all, and this sport's the toughest sport by far, by far.
So Ken, I'm just kind of curious. I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I totally get where you were at after that first phone call. It's like, oh crap, I don't know the first thing about this or that, and I would have been really reluctant to get involved as well. Like what were your sort of first steps or first lessons in sort of gaining an understanding of the game and how it's either similar to or different from like able-bodied hockey?
Yeah, great question, Tim. So my first impression, my insight in that tournament was Leduc, is that we were just too slow. We were just too slow, physically too slow. Whether that was a combination of fitness, skating stride, etc. But so we had to take a step back, and we developed a project I called the Stride Project. You know, back in the day, remember when power skating first came out, and guys like Wally were teaching power skating. They had Dave King had him on the national team out teaching power skating, and so we took that same approach. We broke down. Let's look at some of our best skaters. And so we filmed every guy and looked at their stride, what they were doing wrong, what they were doing right, so we could maybe improve the stride. Looked at the biomechanics of their stride. Then we looked at their sled. Were they sitting properly? Like, it's the same concept. You've got to have your chest over your center of gravity or your knees like we do in stand-up, right? You got to have your chest forward. Some guys were sitting back like this, like a lounge chair. Well, it's inefficient. So just little things like that, and getting guys to adjust their stride and then getting them fit. And through that, I think that process and that process over that first quad, but now into the second
Harley,
quad.
do you want any?
It's our guys are just so much faster because we've developed a stride, and the younger kids that first came in the program a few years ago have learned to have a proper stride. And I think those adjustments helped us get faster. And then we had to change. So when I first got there, we did a lot of dumping the puck in. And I was saying, why are we throwing a puck away to the Americans who are so fast and they just come up the ice and go by us like pylons? So we introduced a concept like Russian hockey where you had to use cross and drops, little handoff plays, so we could maintain the puck. But now that we're faster and our pucks, and that developed our puck skills over the years, and then now that our puck skills are better, we're playing a way more attacking style. So we are throwing the puck ahead now, kind of like you see in the NHL and women's hockey. You move it, get the puck, you move it up ice quick, that kind of concept. And so just those things. But you know what, Tim? I think it's more about building relationships with the players. I've been coaching now 40 years, and I've had to change my approach at least 10 times. I'm a totally different coach than I was at SAIT. I'm a different coach than I was the last quad, even. I've taken a more inclusive approach with the guys, more inclusive approach. I've got a great staff. I use them. I'm more delegating things. And it's kind of overseeing the quality control, I call it. Quality control coach. And just, so I got coaches running the power play. They got the great ideas. Let's hear them. Let's look at them. Okay, good. Let's do it. Penalty kill, etc. Breakouts, all that stuff. I delegated it all, and I'm just kind of overseeing everyone and chiming in when need to be. And if the quality in a practice in terms of work ethic or execution isn't there, then I get a little bit more involved in discussing things with the players and talking about it. But I really think, if I had to go back to the first quad, we probably came in a little too hard at the start. But in some ways we had to. But I would have included more of the veteran players in some of the discussions versus just coming down so strong. The manager and I, Sean Bullock, took a strong approach, and we were a goal post away from a Paralympic gold medal. But I think maybe looking back, that's one thing I maybe would have changed. But overall, I thought we took the right approach in general. This quad, totally different approach, more inclusive, and I think the guys are in a good place right now spiritually. And our problem too is that we have a decentralized team that don't play in any leagues. The Americans, they have a full league. The NHL sponsors a team in every NHL city in the United States. So in Northeast United States, Southeast United States, Northwest, and the Southwest, they have regions where they have games against each other with all those NHL teams. We've got guys like Roy Ball and Farmer, and these guys playing 40, 50 games a year. Well, they're not national team games, but they are games, and they have a good population base, so there's a lot more good players down there in overall because they have so many more people. But I mean, they get those games, and we have guys that are isolated, like Liam Hickey's isolated in Newfoundland. He gets on the ice a couple times a week by himself, or finds a stand-up person to play with, right? So just that whole game experience, being part of a team. That's something else we had to teach our players is what does teammanship mean? And what does it mean to be a team member? And even understanding the concepts of hockey. A lot of our guys never played hockey. I think we have Don Mack, we maybe have, 6, 7 guys, Billy Wesley, those guys have enough hockey experience now. But a lot of our younger players, they never ever played hockey. They adapted to this because of a disability that happened to them.
And one thing, and for sure anybody pipe in, but one thing, I think I explained to everybody, I bumped into Ken about a year ago when they were headed to the World Championship in Czech Republic, and I was flying into Copenhagen. We ended up on the same flight. And I think it was at that conversation, Ken, that one of the sort of aha things for me was like, you mentioned sort of the premium in sledge para hockey on area passes and bank passes, and it was kind of like I've seen some of the games obviously on TV, and actually way back in '97, as we were preparing for the World University Games, we had a little interaction with their Sledge team in Ontario, but I didn't know that much about the game. But that for me was one of the real similarities between the games, like, and how you need that sort of, as you mentioned, that hockey sense that I got to pass around people, let people skate into it, versus trying to pass directly all the time. And honestly, it's one of the things our Danish girls kind of struggle with, sort of being still learning to play the game at the highest level. So that, maybe a comment on that, because that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a great point. And now at this juncture, heading into the Paralympics, cross our fingers, that we do a lot of that, little bank passes, little area passes, where you get a forward in behind their D and you lay a pass ahead, and that's our game now. And so those little cross and drop cycles where you little handoff, and it just drags the defense out or pushes them back, so it gives you more space, more time to make a play. So all this is part of our offensive attack, and our assistant coaches have done a great job in incorporating some of this stuff into our tactical plan. And another key part of this sport is that the best players in the world, they're bilateral. In stand-up hockey, either right or left, right? But bilateral skills are really important. Being able to shoot and handle a puck with your right hand and your left hand. And also what's important is, I learned all this little stuff, is that if you're a single amp, for example, you're going to have trouble shooting on one side because you might have your leg there in front of it, right? So you've got to always position yourself so you can get the shot off without your leg interfering with the mechanics of the shot. So little things like that become important in this sport. And but I love the bilateral part of the sport. It's such a beautiful. They can put it under their sled, under, over, shot, move it back. And like I said, if you've ever watched it, especially us and the Americans or us and the Russians, it's a beautiful sport to watch.
I'm gonna have to watch it again more closely, Ken. And so, like, one of the discussions we have within our group is, taking stuff from the modern NHL game, and where I'm going here is the 5-player, especially offense, not just the joining the rush, but the D dives and the Chicago rules, like on top, and basically no fixed position in the offensive zone. So how much, like, we're really trying to incorporate that with the Danish girls, and they've done a good job. But so how much of that do you guys borrow and active, like even video? Like, do you show video and say, hey, this is some of the movement we want to see in the offensive zone? Like, does that happen with you guys?
Yeah, it does. So let me step back and answer that question. So one of the things that I noticed in the sport when I first took over was that with this sport, because you need both your hands to skate fast. So if you're carrying a puck, one hand's carrying a puck, you're really only picking with one hand, right? So your speed slows down. So I thought, okay, so look, we create a position called the Rover. And basically, that's the most offensive defenseman we have of the pair. And they can go anywhere in the offensive zone anytime. They can join the attack anytime, because if they're skilled and fast enough, they can get back to catch anybody if you turn the puck over, because the other person will be skating with one hand. So we created a position. We have a Rover in each D pair, and they got the green light. Basically, anytime we have the puck, they can jump up into the play. And the other guy has to be kind of a steady Eddie, complimentary D-man and trustful that way. And so far it's worked. We've got some pretty high-skilled defensemen, and we're creating a lot of offense that way. But now we create a position called Rover. As far as movement, cross and drops, the Russians, we used to have our D sliding across. They roll, cross and drop up top. Because if you drag it, you got time in sledge hockey. Because usually most teams, certainly the weaker teams, will go back and set up a box and just box you out, right? So you got to open up that box by a lot of movement in the space along the sides, and then penetrate the lane once it opens up. The Americans, they're more pressure, because they use their speed so much and their double amp skills to get on you so quickly. So we've always got to be aware. Our style always changes from game to game based on who we play. But yeah, we use a lot of movement stuff. It is a bit more of a challenge because, like I said, the teams end up boxing you out, and they use their Sledge to make even stronger a box. So it's tough to get around that sometimes. So you really have to become innovative.
Go ahead, Peter.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. Getting
You're
your perspective. I'd be interested to know, Ken, like if there's a a big difference in terms of what you do at practice with the Sledge team compared to what you would do with your, able-bodied team. How do you run practices? Or is there a lot of skill, individual skill development, scrimmages, small area games, similar? Or I'd be interested to know that.
You know what? That's a great question. So we run everything as if this was the highest end national men's and women's team you can have. Every drill is the same. It's hockey, but it's not stand-up hockey. So we use a lot of the same drills. You just maybe have to modify parts of it because the defenseman can't skate backwards. So, another thing that we introduced a few in year 2 of the first quad was the idea, stole us from Bobby Orr when Bobby Orr blew his knee. I remember him playing the Russians, and he used to come up the ice and angle like a back checker and be skating forward with the guy that he was checking, not backwards, because he couldn't pivot that way. So we call it flexing. So our defensemen and our forwards, they're forechecking, go up the ice and flex with good angles. And our team used to, when we first got here, used to turn their backs to everyone and retreat to the back of to the front of the net and box out. Well, you just get eaten alive that way. So we took a more aggressive approach using this flexing up idea. In stand-up, you call it gapping up. We call it flex up just because guys like flexing their muscles. So just came up with that name, and it's caught on. So you know what? We do a practice. We'll go. So we just had a camp here before Christmas. So we have 2 days. In the morning, we'll go first 15 minutes. The goalies will go out with the goalie coach and a couple assistants. They'll do some movement stuff, whatever he wants to do with them, some shots, locations, whatever, puck management, whatever. And we'll take the forwards and the defensemen, and we'll do some skill stuff with them for the first 15 months. Puck handling, little area battles, whatever, passing skills, timing skills with passing. And then we'll just go into regular practices. So we'll go maybe a shooting drill, then we'll get into something. We do a lot of small area battles. Whether it's in the neutral zone or in a zone somewhere in one of the defensive zone or offensive zone, we'll do a lot of that. The more we can crowd their space, we're finding the better they're going to learn how to handle the puck and handle the pressure and be able to make plays in tough areas. So we do the same stuff that you guys would do with your team: small area games, battle. The guys love competition, so we always make it red against white, and they're always playing for something, and they eat it up. So I've got great coaches. I've got Mike Foligno, who played in the NHL. He's a great coach in the NHL. He's brought some great ideas from that level. Russ Harrington's a coach at York men's team. He's got a good insight into the game, very analytical guy. And Mike Fountain, the former goalie, that's our goalie coach, used to play with the Vancouver Canucks and the AHL and played for Team Canada back in the 90s. And I've got a former player, Steve Arsenault, who's a nice addition to our staff this year because he's a former player. He knows the guys personally.
Right.
He knows what would work with them, right? What's going to work, what ideas we have, and how we should approach things. And he has a good feel for the room, and he's been a good addition in terms of that ex-player kind of coach guy, and it's been a good for us. So we've been working well together, and through the quad. So we were in when 2019, we had just March, I think it was January. No, March 11th. We were in Montreal at a camp. I remember getting on a plane in Montreal, and this was all just COVID was just breaking out. And I thought, holy smoke! And we got on that flight, got home. The next day, Alberta shut down, the country shut down, and so we thought, oh well, the hell are we going to start doing? So we started having our weekly hockey talk, we called it. So Tim, to your point about video, so now we started showing video of our games, talking about different plays, etc. Now so we don't lead it anymore. The players lead the whole thing. At our last camp, they took our last games against Korea. We have them broken down into 5 leadership groups, 5 cohorts we call them, and they'll give them 3 or 4 clips each, and they're supposed to look at those clips, watch them together, talk about the good things that happened, things that could be better, things that need to be improved, and then they present them back to the team. Well, this has been a home run. Coaches, we just sit back now. No, I mean, no. So, it's really worked well. We break the game down as coaches, send them out to 12 clips or whatever it's going to be, 3 or 4 per group. They watch them and they present back, and it's been beautiful. And then we just chime in if they are missing a little piece of it or how that relates to a link in our tactical play. And this is part of them from me personally, because Tim, you've been there, and Tom, I know you're there, and a lot of you people that coach Canadian University College sports. When you're doing that job, you do everything. You recruit, you fundraise, you run practice, you fill the water bottles, you steal tape, you do whatever you got to do to make your practice game run, your team run, right? So for me, when I came here, I have all these supports. I need to use these supports. So this is now, I'm talking about how I've learned to delegate more and more responsibilities, and this is part about giving the players ownership. Christ, we got some of the best veteran players in the world on our club. Let's use those guys with the young guys to mix their ideas together, and it's worked beautifully so far.
Awesome, Babs. That sort of leads me in some ways right into one thing I jotted down before about bench management, which I'll ask, but really interesting. You mentioned your flexing, which is really exactly, of course, the same thing as going on in the NHL game, and we're using with the Danish girls as well. And they, the term I think Daryl uses or lots of NHL guys use is surfing. Instead of backing up, trying to create an angle, even if you're a D. And our D have adapted really pretty well to that, I think. The other thing that sort of struck me right away, of course, so we do a lot of talking on here about player-led learning that You're talking about, and asking questions instead of yelling and telling is one of Wally's favorite expressions, and sort of says it all succinctly. But so I was going to ask you about bench management, because it went through my mind before, like, wasn't sure how many assistant coaches you had, and now you've outlined that, and your delegation. How do you run your bench? There's so many different ways. Right. Head coach does nothing but observe. Head coach changes the forwards. Head coach maybe is the D, so changes the D. Somebody on the bench for feedback. Somebody upstairs. Like, how do you manage your bench with your assistants?
Well, that's a great point. So I've got too much energy. I can't do nothing. So I have to do something on there. So I'm still at the forwards, and Mike Foligno, he would be like the number 1 assistant. He'll be running the defenseman. And then Russ will be giving individual feedback and making sure that I haven't missed anything with what the other teams are putting on the ice in terms of a matchup, if we're matching up. I've gone away from matching up now. I like just to roll the lines. I find we get more out of our team that way. But we'll see how that goes. But so that's it. Then the other guys are upstairs. Stevie's on the video, and Founce, the goalie, guys doing some scoring analysis and watching our goalies and watching their goalies too. He'll do a report with the players before the game about who we're playing, what the goalies' tendencies are. So we involve everybody in this, and Mike Foligno's running a power play. He's done some pretty good stuff there. He's got some good ideas from his NHL days. And we've got some, Russ is doing the penalty kill. So we share it up that way. It's interesting in para hockey and sledge hockey is that in World Championships and the Paralympics, we only dress 15 players. So you only dress 3 lines, 4D, 2 goaltenders. And it's unique from that perspective. It's kind of like old school hockey back in the day. So, you know, in that gold medal game I was talking about, 218, I had lost 2 of the better defensemen in the world, Bowden and Stevie Arsenault, and we played with 2 defensemen the whole third period. And can you imagine doing that in stand-up hockey? I mean, it'd be great. It'd be in real trouble, right? And we were a goal post away. Had we not hit the goal post, we would have won the game. But so it's unique that way. But you know, I find that you know, in this sport, you can if you can manage the ice time of your key players, you'll get more out of them in the end. And if I had to learn anything from my first quad, I probably overplayed our key horses too much, and we didn't have enough when we got to the gold medal game. We needed the gas. And now that we've got a little bit more depth in our lineup, up front especially, I think we can roll the lines a little bit more and use certain guys in certain situations. So you might not have to use this guy to penalty kill because you got a younger, keener, faster guy to do it, and then this guy can go in the power play, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've had to adjust and learn that, and just how our team's evolved. And just recently, we played the Americans. We split with them, and you know, we rolled all the lines, and it just made me think. You know what? I think we can play with them now.
Ken, I mean, this is from a point of ignorance, but how long would a shift be?